Sure, you can call me Saurabh only.
Yeah.
Jai Hind, everybody. I'm delighted to have this opportunity for being able to share insight on this topic of DSAR. My name is Saurabh Dev Sharma, and I bring over 15 years of experience into the legal and compliances, with past few years dedicated towards the privacy. I'm currently working as a senior legal counsel for the Ether Energy, and I also hold a Fellow of Information Privacy along with IAPP certification into the CIPPE and CIPM. Uh, I'm passionate about the privacy and look forward to explaining the idea today and exploring how we can make or raise the bar into the data protection and the privacy governance. Thank you.
Thank you, Saurabh.
Thank you.
Uh,
Thank you so much,
Myself,
Saurabh.
Anshu. Yeah, so I'm the founder and CEO of GoTrust. I bring the experience of 16 years from European market, where we have developed and implemented multiple times GDPR solution. So how GDPR is going to impact us in reference to DPDPA. So I will try to bring in or bridge the gap of technology in this discussion. Thank you. Back to you, Ashok.
Thank you, Saurabh. Thank you so much, Himanshu. So, moving ahead with our discussion today, so we can begin the session today. So, Saurabh, I would like you to highlight that what basically DSRs are for the audience, for the better understanding for the audience. What do you think the data subject access request in a simple definition? What is it basically?
Simplest definition, Ashwara, you are already showing on the presentation, which means that a formal request, a right for an individual to make a formal request to a controller or fiduciary to basically being able to access the personal data held by the controller. Uh, in today's digital world, where personal data is the new currency, every individual has been provided certain laws, legal right, or legal privacy rights, uh, where they have a right to know how their data is being used, how it is collected, and basically being able to exercise a control over it. This is one of the fundamental privacy right, a concept of which basically can be drawn back to 1766 when the Sudan introduced the first a right to access through their press as a part of their press freedom recognition, followed by the 1946 UN General Assembly resolution, or the right to Information Act of 2005. But as an individual right, it only is basically received the recognition when the privacy laws started coming into the picture. Uh, DSR allows an individual basically to being able to control the data they have provided and verify that the data is being processed for the lawful purposes. It also acts as a stepping stone for a data subject to exercise other privacy like rights like data correction or eraser or etc. Uh, I'd like to hear more from the Himanshu if he has a thought on that.
I totally agree on this part. Coming from Europe, where we have seen the adoption of DSRs basically, and DSRs are, in our terminology, pretty expensive to manage if you are doing it manually, and hence we adopted it for the European market first, in my past experience basically, and now we developed GoTrust to automate the whole end-to-end process and make it easy for the collection. And also, when the auditor comes, you can prove that okay, these are the legal bias, why the data was in your system, and then at least facilitate the end consumer with the data request of its purge or its certification, whatever the need of from the end consumer basically. Back to you, Ashwara.
Okay. So that was some great insights from both of you. So moving ahead with the DSRs. So I would like Saurabh to can you just make us understand that what are the regulatory requirements that are surrounding the DSRs? If you can talk about some global regulations, that would be great for the audience.
Definitely, Aishwarya. Regulatory landscape around the DSAR in India as well as the EU is very clear on its purpose, process, or the penalty, I would say. But rather than talking on all, we'll prefer to have basically concentrate or basically draw our cue from the GDPR only, because GDPR basically approximately 135 nations have their privacy law enacted based on the similar principle what the GDPR has adopted, apart from some operational changes here and there. But to in the Indian context, if I have to put it, Section 11 of the Digital Personal Data Protection Act very specifically recognizes it as one of the most fundamental privacy rights for the data subjects. Uh, since we are waiting for the rule and we cannot cover all the aspects, we'll refer the GDPR specifically, as I said earlier. Under GDPR, recital with 154 or as well as recital 63, along with Article 15, talks about the fundamental right of access by the data subject. The purpose we have already covered, which specifically talks about that DSR should allow an individual to control their data, is how their data is being used, or to be able to verify that processing of their data is for the lawful purposes. If I had to talk about the general process around it, individuals can submit the DSR in any way, including email, telephone, or the social media connecting to their data controller. Businesses will have approximately 30 days, a month under the GDPR, and 45 days under the CCPA to basically respond to these DSARs. In certain cases, these timeline can be extended further, but that has to be intimated to the data subject well in advance. Ideally, the information what is being requested, unless it is specifically being requested, should cover the 12 months period, 12 months timeline of the processing, and the source from which the data is being collected. The last part is basically the penalties. I would say penalty is humongous among all the nations, all the laws wherever you go. India itself has come up with up to 250 crores of the penalty for not being able to address to the DSAR. But at the same time, the GDPR fines can be up to the 20 million euros or 4% of the company's total turnover, whichever is higher. In case the orgs fail to address to the DSAR. To add more, financial impact is definitely the one part. What other impacts may look like is a reputational damage. Definitely, no organization would like to work with an organization who is already involved in these kind of breaches. Legal obligations we may see and we have been seeing into the already mature privacy environment in the European Union, where the people has been taking the class action suit against the controller for not being able to exercise or being able to provide them an opportunity to exercise their right. Least definitely regulatory enforcement will happen, and when we talk about the regulatory actions, like my mentor Mr. Jayant Kumar has always said, that in privacy compliance any bad day can turn out to be the horrible day. You make one leak and the organization or the entity or regulatory authorities may start auditing you and come up with multiple breaches. We don't want that. And last but not least, these audits or regulatory actions definitely will cause the business interruption on a day-to-day basis. There is very much advisable to have a strategic and imperative compliance mechanism around, and to avoid or basically to avoid any loopholes around the DSAR. To be ready is the best way, best defense we can have right now.
Okay, thank you so much, Saurabh. So, from your discussion, I have understood that it is essential for the organization to adhere to the DSR request. Otherwise, you are going to face hefty penalties. So, yeah.
Among
So we
others,
can
yeah.
move ahead. Yes. So we can move ahead with our presentation and with our discussion as well. So, Saurabh, I would like to ask you that, according to you, and as per your experience, what are the challenges that the DSRs face when it comes to the data discovery part? What are the
This is
challenges you face?
moreover, this is more on the operational part, where I would like to give a disclaimer that whatever I'm gonna say or I'm saying should not be construed to be the opinion on behalf of my employer. This is a personal view. But personally, if you'll ask me, definitely data is the goal today, and all the organizations are basically flooded with the vast quantity of data scattered across multiple systems, platforms, and these diversity basically pose a significant challenges into the DSAR. When we specifically talk about, if I have to quote few technical issues, the data silos. Often the data are lying into the different servers or tools or systems in silos, not connected to the servers where we cannot trace them manually, or the complexity of the data itself, or the evolving landscape around the data. What we used to see in the Excel in the past is not relevant today. This is more over very complex set of data what we are handling, and definitely requirement of being able to balance between the need of data accessibility and the stringent data protection law. uh, if I have to basically come up with the operational challenge, these all pose a very grave restrictions when we talk about the manual process of the DSAR. Uh, Basically, if to say, manual process can cause to have a delayed response time, incomplete data retrieval, inconsistent result, or the scalability issue. These basically can or will impact any organization, and specifically it is always advisable to have or effectively address the challenges of the data discovery, or the DSR. Organization must adopt the advanced technologies, automated solutions, or leverage the AI or the power tools which are available as on today in the market. With the permission of you, I can quote one of the examples of the DSAR only. Recently, the French TPA imposed a fine of euro 40 millions on one of the controllers. What seemed like an ordinary day at the office took a drastic turn when the controller failed to address to the DSAR because of they had a manual processing, and this invited the again the regulatory audit, which led to the various penalties for the lawful processing, conditions for consent, territorial scope, then under section 12, then right to eraser, and a lot of other things, which led to the 40 million penalty. So people or org should consider moving from the manual to the automated process to avoid these kind of impact in future for the organization.
Thank you so much, Saurabh, for sharing your insights. Himanshu, what are your inputs on this? Like the
If,
challenges that in DSRs, what do you think?
definitely, I think there's a question posted by Dirk. Uh,
Yes, Derek
let's take that
D'Souza.
first. Yeah.
Okay.
What do
So the
you think?
question is that,
And yeah, please, you go ahead. You go ahead.
okay. So the question, thank you so much. So the question is, what do you think under DPDP Act, how many days would be given to revert to a data principal request? So I think this is a question to Saurabh. So what do you think if the DPDP rules come out? So what will be the timeline to revert back to the data principal
Uh,
request?
Actually, I had opportunity to discuss along with multiple forums with the people of METI. I'll not quote or I will not be able to quote because of certain obligations we have. But what I can give the glimpse of is, though the organization has or the India has come up with the DPTP Act with few modalities of its own, but in principle we are adopting the GDPR or the international standards only. And we can see on the rule or the face of the act itself, it is very clearly mentioned that as early as possible, as soon as possible, should be addressed. But in terms of timeline, we can expect a time around a month to respond to the DSAR. That is what we are hoping for.
Correct, correct. So actually, the statement is a bit ambiguous, which is provided in the act that you should respond without undue delay. So that is a big ambiguity in the act. That's what I feel, and that's what is there. So thank you so much, Saurabh, for answering that question. So we can move forward with our discussion. Uh, if if Saurabh, we have covered all the aspects of what DSR is, what are the challenges, what are the regulatory requirements that are surrounding the DSRs. Now, can you put some insights? Can you give some insights on the aspect that how what what comprehensive strategy that the organization can adopt in order to manage the DSR with the help of data discovery? What do you think about it?
One thing I'll emphasize once again that manual is not going to work in this environment. The way we are working, the agile environment, all the organization and the fast-paced environment the business are being run into. DSR management necessitates a sophisticated technology-driven strategy. That is the first statement I think we all should carry with. Uh, Definitely, the effective DSR management into the automation does require the automation. Basically, we should adopt a proactive identification and continuously scan the data repositories to identify the personal data, ensuring timely response to the DSAR. Because when we talk about the DSAR, if we have a 30 days, we are not going to basically look into all the Excel file to our ROPA and start identifying. That will like it will itself will take a 30 days, and we'll have to reward to person that we are looking into the Excel sheets. Uh, Definitely reduce manual efforts as much as possible. Automation is the key, and leveraging AI and machine learning, we can definitely enhance our accuracy on the DSCR. uh, Intelligent data classification, I feel the contextual understanding of the personal data is important. Classify the data based on the sensitivity, purpose, orientation. We cannot do that at the last moment, and prior automation is required. Prioritizing the response definitely is one of the strategy. Over the period, once we see the rules, a lot of DSR will keep on flowing and will start flowing in the Indian context, and we will have to prioritize which one to reward. And definitely, the centralized data view, which can come as a leverage from these automation, wherein we don't have to go into the different servers or different storage or different data lakes to understand or identify the requirement of the DSR. Uh, and that will help us to have a improved data governance overall. This is the basic I would definitely adopt. Embracing a technology-driven approach to data discovery, organization can significantly enhance their ability to respond to DSAR efficiently and accurately. By investing in automated tools, intelligent data classification, centralized data management, organization can mitigate the risk, improve compliances, and safeguard their reputation as well.
Okay, that's great. Now, Himanshu, I would like to know from your side, what are your perspective on this?
I think thanks, first of all, for being so in detailed because you covered most of it. Now I'm gonna add a bit technological component to the discussion. I will not start from the strategy. I will start from the last question you asked, the challenges, because we have to see technology will come into play, but if we understand the problem statement, what it is. So the first problem is what type of data we're talking about, because if you see there can be an email where unstructured data is, and there can be PII in that email itself. Other way around, there can be a table or a database where there is a tables and columns, very structured data is there, and there is a PII in it. Now, we also, that's one level of complexity where the data is and in which format. And then there's next level of complexity, which is on top of it, is that what are the PIs? Because I give a live example, Aadhaar number, right? Uh, Aadhaar numbers can be mixed with uh, another number of the same digit. How will you identify whether the number in front of you is Aadhaar number or an encrypted number or a different number? So you have to think and go beyond uh, basically from using simple RAG kind of solutions. So what we did is we have implemented an Aadhaar check digit solution. That means the sequence of number, multiply and divide, and then it should come to a certain factor. So that's very standard practice, which has been used in banking and across other industries across the globe. So we brought in here in our solution. So that helped us to make sure that the Aadhaar numbers are identifiable. Other challenges about the street names. Huh? This is one of the very, there's some disturbance. Can you mute? Yeah. Thank you, Saurabh. Other challenge was the address. Address is being one of the biggest pain globally. How to identify whether it's Jayant Street or Jayant Singh. It's the most complex part. So we trained our models on them. So now We have come up with discovery models where we have created our NERs, which are trained industry specific and uh, geography specific. So we have, when we work with banking, we have list of PIIs for banking. We know what type of PIIs will come in the banking, like more CVV number is there, there is credit card and other financial data we talked about, and then which geography we are working on. Because they both, this combination is very lethal and it helps us to dig deeper and come up with very accurate discovery output basically. And now let's go forward because the problems and solutions both are intermingled anyways. So comprehensive data discovery strategies, the question which you asked Ashwarya. So there are multiple ways how you look at it. So if you are a B2C company, a direct to consumer company, then there might be continuous monitoring a solution. But if you are a sub processor, there might be more laid back solution where you are scanning your entire database basically once a month or once a quarter. You're a legal company, then you know to process the data, you have a legal bias. You have to keep the data for next 6 months to 10 years or 8 years, depending upon which geography you are. Then you can design your scanning accordingly. Now, this is looks very easy, but now when we go to the next step, scanning of data, first question is how much data you have. See, till date, we used to love to keep the data, right? There is a storage, we used to add the data in our storage, whatever we get. Just don't delete it, don't archive it, whatever we have, just keep it. So this also triggers another discussion within the technological domain is what is the relevant data for you? Right? So we all talk about data is gold. Yeah, it is, but which part of it? So that will also take the journey towards data governance, basically, where discovery is a component of it, but data governance is a bigger umbrella, and that will also come into play. Now, when we go into discovery itself, basically what strategies might help, we have to technologically we have to integrate to all the data sources. It can be from AWS, from Google, can be your Microsoft 365, can be Google email services, can be Google Cloud, can be your local storage, can be the laptops. So it's technology is helping, but technology is also needs to evolve a lot on top of it because the speed of processing, because we cannot wait 6 months that the scan has finished and only then we can respond back to our consumers. So there's multiple level of challenges which the discovery has to come up with. And therefore the strategy of an organization, how the data discovery has to be executed, also depends a lot on the nature of the organization, what type of customer base they have. And I think on the legal side, Saurabh has already given a lot of inputs anyways, that there has to be a centralized view of identities so that we, once this scan has happened and DSAR request is raised, we know precisely, okay, Himanshu was a customer or Himanshu was an ex-employee of the organization and how to respond basically to his request. And now there's one more thing is related in this whole discussion, which we have not touched upon is the legal bias to have the data, or at least the reason why you have the data, right? So we now know we have data. Discovery has found there is a certain piece of data about you in our organization. The next question asks, okay, why do you have it? So that's another question which pops up in the legal domain. We help with our solution to find the data, and also if the consent is by us with taken with our tool, or you already have a consent, we'll correlate it. Okay, which reason when the audit logs are there, when the data was taken, and which date, what time. All of that is created, formatted, and put in a documentation. But question also comes on the legal side is, okay, why did you collect the data in the past? What was the reason for it? If you have it, are you going to purge it, mask it? No, what more are you going to do with that? So I will stop here based on these inputs so that we can move on. But there are many questions opening up now on the data discovery strategy. How we want to show it up. Back to you, Ashwin.
Yeah, thank you, Saurabh, and thank you, Himanshu, for explaining so well about the challenges and the strategy that the organization should adapt in order to manage the DSRs. So, before moving further, we have a question from Dipanshu Singh. He's asking that how is the follow-up on DSRs typically managed, given that privacy team often handles this manually? Do existing privacy tools provide support for these follow-up queries, or is there a gap in this area?
I can answer this question, Ashwini,
Mm,
from
Yes,
GoTrust point of
yes,
view. That
please go ahead.
thank you. Uh, The tool has given the capability to automatically register the DSR. So once the DSR is registered through forms or by email, tool is gonna register it automatically. If the data discovery component is also enabled, tool might be already able to give the response automatically. So where we have achieved and where what we want to achieve is in our solution is there is 100% automation in the DSRs because India, we are more than a billion people living, and if even 0.001% people starts putting DSRs, our life will be really challenging to give response to them because it's going to be huge number of records. So we have to have automation. So at least from my point of view, we have implemented, except when the delete comes or purge request is coming in, then we have to be very cautious. And that is a request which we are not handling automatically. But all other requests within the DSRs are managed automatically.
just to add what Himanshu said into Dipanshu's question, uh, from the manual processing problem, what we do normally, if I'm receiving an email for one data subject request and there is a follow-up email, as a matter of tendency, we basically identified or we have some identifier criteria, and that that follow-up basically gets considered only as a new and basically get lost into the trail of emails on the multiple communication to and fro is happening because every new request or every follow-up request should have a tokenization system to basically being able to track easily. Automation becomes a key here to handle it.
Thank you so much, Saurabh. Thank you so much, Manshu, for answering the question. So we can move ahead. And Himanshu, I would like you to speak something about the GoTrust tool, that how GoTrust is identifying the gap and how GoTrust is solving this problem of DSR automation.
Sure. Thanks for the question. See, with our system, like we already talked about, we have multiple integrations. So with the multiple integrations, we know precisely at the customer's infrastructure side what scanning has to be done and what type of integrations has to be made. So we go deep into the customer's ecosystem. We do the whole solution is deployed now on the customer's infra. So that's one part of it. So we guarantee that the data privacy and data security is implemented along with the solution. Then we do scanning of a system, and then scanning means is we are going to scan from email to their databases, to their structure, to their log files, to their audit logs, to the system logs, And because of our integration capabilities, we are able to do so. Then let's say scan has happened, and then next thing comes is like you mentioned here, a surgical approach to data correlation. Data correlation is pretty interesting because what happened was in the past we used to scan and we used to mark the column or the row of the table as critical. But once the business consultant is gonna review it, he said no, it's high critical. So what happened in that case? So the correlation approach was missing. So we implemented the correlation long back that if let's say I find an Excel file from HR team where there is only one name is mentioned, that's not that problematic, or that's not that there's an issue with that file. Of course, there is PII, but we can talk about the CVIP of the file. Now take the second example where there's an Excel we found and it has hundreds of names, only names. Of course, the severity is even higher because it has PII, the plot of people. Now, let's say you want to find another file, which is names, email ID, date of birth, and phone number of all the employees of your ecosystem. So all these three files are in Excel, are we have identified them in the HR department where they should be. They're properly structured, kept in a proper documentation. The sensitivity and criticality of all the files are different. The last one was extremely sensitive because it has a lot of PII at one place. So that's what the correlation does for us because we have created some ML models on top of our discovery system. So once the discovery is complete, it's not even complete. Once the scanning of the specific logical unit is done, the correlation model also works on top of it. So okay, if in this table row we find one PII or multiple PIIs, so it automatically tags that column or row with critical, high critical, or low, basically low critical, or whatever the tagging systems you have designed for, maybe behavioral or maybe something else. So we do at that level because, and like Saurabh mentioned, technology has to take a lead, and it's not possible to do it manually, basically. So that's deep we go. Then we also talk a lot about structured and unstructured data because the complete concept of data discovery when we do in a structured databases or data or unstructured data is completely different. It's like two different ecosystems are running or scanning uh, the systems of the customer. Once the scanning has happened, the metadata is then collected, and then on the metadata, we do basically different correlations, different tagging, and all of that happens. So you have to make a mind map that tables or the structured data for that part, kind of solution one is running of data discovery. For unstructured, there is another solution running, and they both are talking to each other because they both are producing the metadata of the findings which they have, and then the correlation tagging is happening. We also go deep into the ecosystem because once we get these findings on discovery, it is pushed. They are available. Let's say it's pub substructure, basically, which we use in our architecture. It is available for DSARs to consume. It is available for consent management to consume. That data, which is also available for data mapping to consume. So, or any assessment models to consume. That's how we have designed it. How deep we have gone to the granularity of every PII which is detected in the ecosystem. I hope I made some sense. It was a bit technical. Back to you, Ashwin.
Thank you so much, Manshu, for putting light on the GoTrust tool and how it manages the DSR. So that was a comprehensive explanation. Thank you so much. Now we can move ahead, and if you want to share anything more about the GoTrust tool and how it solves the purpose, then that would be great. If you want to add on anything.
I think I just explained quite deep about how the discovery is connected to DSRs and consent. I think that's the crux, and I think that's it. Thank you for asking.
Okay. Thank you so much. So that was a great discussion, and I learned a lot from both of you, and I'm sure that the participants enjoyed as well. Thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you so much, Saurabh, for taking out time on this Friday evening and sharing your insights with all of us. That was a great session. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ashwara. Saurabh, you're on mute.
Sorry.
If you yeah.
Yes.
Sorry. Thanks a lot for having me, and it was an opportunity to discuss with both of you. Happy
Thank you.
weekend.
Welcome. Very welcome. Same to you. Enjoy, and everybody else. Bye bye. Have fun.
Bye bye.